Welcome to A Drink with the Friend. I'm Seth Haynes.
And I am Tsh Oxenrider.
Tsh. Mm-hmm. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. That's the season we're in. Mm-hmm. And my hope is that you are drinking something quasi-festive.
Kind of. Dave and Karen brought a gift to 309, and that is Onyx Coffee. So I finally got to try Onyx.
What?
I know. So I've got...
That is festive.
A bag in my hands, which is, I guess, kind of a box when it's Onyx. And we have gone with the blend that the barista recommended, which is Tropical Weather, which does not sound Christmassy at all, but it's very good. It's very good.
It's very good. It is a very good cup of coffee. I really like it. You know, Onyx right now is doing their Advent coffee series. So they have sort of like a different coffee every day. Yesterday was, I think, Honduras. And I'm not a huge fan of South American coffees, but it was very good.
Yeah.
I was very excited.
Cool.
So yeah, they're very interesting people. So Dave and Karen, thank you for supporting my local coffee shop.
Yeah.
Owned by my friends John and Andrea. Good people. We love Onyx.
Cool. I thought you'd be happy to hear that. All right. Seth, what are you drinking this afternoon?
It's not festive at all. Although actually it is seasonal. It's not festive, but it's seasonal. I think you'll understand why.
Okay.
So I took that premier Ozarka water, you know, that's proudly Texan.
Right.
Though it has, as we've talked about before, stolen the word Ozark, but whatever. And I poured it into a cup with some emergency.
That does sound seasonal, and I hate to say it, you do sound a tiny bit stuffed up. Sorry to say that.
I am a tiny bit stuffed up. It's not great. It's not great, but it sort of is what it is. It's not like a bad cold or anything. It's just like that.
Yeah.
You know.
'Tis the season. I know.
The nastiness. 'Tis the season.
And it's going around everywhere. Like, you can't escape it. And I work at a school, and it's just, it's in the water, which is a gross thing to say, but it's everywhere.
Is it in the Ozarka water?
Probably. We're probably shipping it to you.
Yeah. So Ozarka, that was a joke. Please don't sue this podcast.
Okay. Well, speaking of it being festive / seasonal, we thought it would be fun to chat about the movies, music, books, etc. that's making us happy, adding a little sparkle to our days. And I don't know, Seth, when I was thinking about my chat with you, I was like trying really hard to make this holiday-ish, and it kind of resulted in like, kind of holiday-ish, but just more what I'm in the mood for right now. So my list is quasi-festive. How about yours?
I think I would say that my list is very, very festive.
Okay, good.
Extremely. I would even go as far as to say extremely festive.
Okay, cool. Well, I did cheat, and we came up with the categories, but I couldn't. There are some where I've got two, so some's more festive than others because we get to make the rules here. This is our game. Do you want to start? And if so, what category do you want to start with?
Yeah, let's roll movies because.
Cool.
Who doesn't want to talk about good movies?
That sounds great.
So, I think that there are a lot of obvious picks for this time of year. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, who's not watching Elf right now?
Right.
Or Charlie Brown Christmas? Or that new movie with Will Ferrell and the other guy that everybody's in love with?
No idea.
It's Spirited with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yes.
And
yes.
Will Ferrell.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's a musical. We did watch it. It's delightful. I'm not going to say anything else.
Okay.
There are some obviously adult themes there. So if you have little kids, maybe not the best idea. I mean, Ryan Reynolds kind of hooks it up with the Ghost of Christmas Past.
Got it.
So spoiler. But I will say, those obvious things, I'm not going to go with that. So, Tsh, one of the things that people talk about a lot, but I think they never do, is they talk about Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are always like, I'm going to watch some Hallmark movies and drink hot cocoa. And I kind of wonder whether that many people really do. I know not many guys do. So the other day, our house full of 5 boys, including myself, decided that we were going to watch a movie with Amber, a Hallmark movie with Amber, and her ground rules were you can watch this, and we have to make fun of it. The idea here is to make fun of it.
Yeah.
because the acting is decidedly B. The script writing is decidedly like C tier. It was a Christmas movie that was set in the winter, but it was obviously filmed in the summer.
Right.
It's this kind of stuff.
Yep.
That's just like, you're making fun of it because it's a Hallmark movie. But it was called, I think it was called Naughty or Nice. And it was delightful.
Okay.
We watched it on Peacock, and it was about this woman who finds, her name is Chrissy Kringle. She lives on Candy Cane Lane. Because they changed the name of after she bought the house, they changed the name of this street to Candy Cane Lane. And so she starts receiving all these letters for Santa, right? Because she's Chrissy Kringle on Candy Cane Lane.
Naturally.
And one of those things is a book, a magical book called the Naughty or Nice List. And it is actually Santa's Naughty or Nice List. And she begins to figure out that she can use this to sort of get leverage over people in her life. And so it's all of these shenanigans that would go along with having Santa's Naughty or Nice List. And it was kitschy, terribly written, decently acted considering the dialogue. And yet it was probably the best thing we've watched so far this Christmas. It was so much fun.
Okay, is there a love story?
That's my first one. Oh, obviously. Yes, there's a love story.
Does he wear plaid?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Okay. But this is a small town, right?
Also don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Maybe.
There's some tropes, she falls in love with the small town boy who's got a heart of gold, even though he's grumpy kind of thing. I don't know.
Oh no, that's not this one. This is different.
Okay.
But there is that trope kind of exists as on a friend basis. But
got it.
She's in love with a lawyer who is working his way up in a major firm, and may or may not have some hidden things. Hence the Naughty or Nice book.
We're just going to have to watch it. We have talked as a family about hate watching some of those. We've got two, I don't know if you'd call them Scrooges in the house, but definite curmudgeons. Maybe Grinches is more like it. And so we thought it would kind of be fun to not, hate watch sounds too drastic. Like MST3K watch it, if that makes sense.
That's what we did.
All right. Maybe we'll do that.
You've got to do it.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
You should do that and report back. I think you'll have a blast.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. So what is on your movie list?
Well, I'm going to throw in the show notes a YouTube video I watched literally today where a person is talking about every Hallmark Christmas movie ever, just for our listeners and for you. But that is not what I have listed. I went with two, and the reason I went with two is because I think I might have mentioned them before, so I'm just going to do it briefly. Have you seen the movie The Man Who Invented Christmas?
No, I don't think I have.
All right.
I think my kids have.
It came out a few years ago, and it's about Charles Dickens. And it's hokey, it's cheesy, and it's delightful and fun. And what it's got the guy from Downton Abbey who plays Matthew Crawley, and I cannot remember his name. And I know he's a legitimately good actor who does other things, so my apologies to Matthew Crawley. But he plays Dickens, and it's about his process of writing A Christmas Carol. And you see characters come in and out, and backstory of Dickens' real life, and some of it's, glamorized for TV or for the screen or whatever, but it's really good and it's really fun. And so it's kind of a nice twist on A Christmas Carol if you've watched that a million times already. And I think it might be on Prime, something like that. I don't know. We actually own it, but I feel like I saw it on there. So that's the movie. And then the series I wanted to mention is, and the reason I'm going with this because I know I've mentioned this before, is I recommend everyone to either rewatch or watch for the first time the first 2 seasons of All Creatures Great and Small, because season 3 comes out January 8th. And if you like this podcast or either of our newsletters, I think you would really, really, really like that show. And it's a great holiday break one. It's not Christmas related. I think there might be a Christmas special episode, but it's just a really great show. And it's very cozy and it checks all the right boxes. So definitely watch it.
So you say if you like this show or either of our newsletters, you'll like it. What's the connection point?
The connection is that it's kind of slower paced. It's based on James Herriot's memoirs, the the All Creatures Great and Small, the 1930s and 40s vet who's from the Yorkshire Dales in England, and it's small village life and out in the countryside. And it really taps into that longing for beauty and for goodness and all those things. So I don't know. That's why I get that vibe. Maybe wholesome is the right word. Are we wholesome? I think we are. Yeah. So that's why. I don't know. I could be wrong. Someone could be listening to this and saying or thinking, I like your podcast, but I really hate that show. And, more power to him. But I really think people would like the show. And you would too, I think.
All right. So I guess I'm going to have to check it out now because I don't know anything about it.
It's really good. All right. So that's our movies / series / things to watch. Let's go with music. You want to do music next?
Yes, I do like this.
All right.
I do like music. So I guess you go first because
right.
I went first last time. So that'll be more fun that way.
Sounds good. All right. So I've mentioned John Van Deusen before on this show. I really like him. He's one of those musicians who's a Christian, not a Christian musician, and he's really good. He reminds me of a cross between kind of Paul Simon and Sufjan Stevens and a little Fleet Foxes. So if you like that kind of folksy poppy sound, you'd really like him. And he has a new album for the holidays called In the Bleak Midwinter, and it's all classics. It's mostly guitar. It's very chill, but not somber. It's been really good, and it's been on repeat. I've listened to it at least once a day since Advent. So yeah, it's really good. It's not too long. It's maybe 10 songs, but I really like it. And that's my
the Bleak Midwinter
music. Oh, and then you know what? A little bonus PS, I guess, call out for another Audible listen is American Magazine every year. This is the second Advent. They've got a podcast called Hark. And it's only 4 episodes. It's only the 4 weeks of Advent. They talk about the history of one famous carol a week, and it's really good. So I'm going to just toss that in the show notes. So if you like holiday music and you're interested in the history of them, then it's a good show. And it's totally listenable in one sitting because it's only 4 episodes a year. So
that's great. That's great. And if anyone can, tell us somewhere, maybe in the comments or on our Buy Me a Coffee site, which of my favorite shows uses the poem In the Bleak Midwinter as an anchor point, I will send them a gift card for Starbucks, like a $5 Starbucks Smarbucks gift card, and they can use it however they want. They can even get those little pods that you put in your office coffee machine that I drink from time to time and hate myself and smell like regret afterwards for drinking.
When you say in the show, in my show, what do you mean? Like a thing you watch?
Oh, I have a show, and I don't want to say what show it is. Okay. I want people to guess.
All right,
somebody guess the show. First person to get it, I'll send you a $5 gift card.
That's
a legit thing. I will really do it.
It's not Little Einsteins, the preschool show, is it?
It's not that at all. Right. It is much more adult and, yes, and violent even.
All right.
So,
got it.
Yeah.
All right. So what about you?
Yeah. So every year at this time of year, I can't help myself but listen to Sting's If on a Bleak Midwinter? No, that's not it. If on a Winter's Night. Now, see, you got me stuck in the bleakness there. If on a Winter's Night.
All right.
That album is so good, and it's a bunch of English, old English folk songs that, for the most part, sort of revolve around this sort of Advent message, but also there's some good Christmas stuff. There's also some just good winter stuff.
This isn't new, right?
The Hounds of... No, it's not.
I vaguely remember this.
I don't remember the year.
Yeah, okay.
2009 is what the internet is telling me now. So it's not new, but it's just such a good album from beginning to end, and it's such a Christmas album for me. So I love it. I highly recommend it. I think everybody should listen to it. That and all those kitschy, Apple and Spotify playlists with Dolly Parton and Ariana Grande and all those people.
Yeah,
you got to listen to that stuff too. Any list that mashes up old jazz musicians, Mariah Carey and Ariana Grande. That's quite a swath to pull together.
And you know it's
throw
only
in a little
this
George
time of year.
Michael.
Yeah, right.
Totally.
It's only this time of year,
Totally.
although I wish you could tell Spotify that so that it doesn't for like the next 3 months think you like this weird assortment of like 90s pop and 40s country. Anyway, yeah.
Truth. I don't ever want to hear anything by George Michael except at Christmas. And really, honestly, that's only for nostalgia. I really don't even want to hear it at Christmas.
I don't either. That's on my bottom 5 of Christmas songs. I know which one you're talking about. I'm not going to think about it because it'll be in my head. Yeah.
Yep. Sorry.
That's right. That's right.
So does that bring us to literature?
It does. You want to start us this time?
Yeah, I can, except for mine pick's really boring because, as you know, I've been reading and writing a lot. I've been working a lot. When I say reading a lot, I've been reading manuscripts a lot. I have not been reading my own stuff as much as I'd like to. So I'm still wrapping up a couple novels that I started earlier last month. But every year, this time of year, my family gets really excited to actually read the Bible again. We're like, oh yeah, we should be doing that more together as a family.
Yeah.
And then we'll do really well for 3 or 4 months, and then we'll not do well for 3 or 4 months. It's this terrible cycle of being maybe not a great parent. I don't know. But anyway, we try our best. And right now, we dug back into the Gospels because it's Advent. Right. So, if we're going to celebrate the life of Jesus, maybe we should read about it. And so we've been reading as a group, as a family, through Luke. And reading through Luke, thinking about Advent and thinking about why Christ came into the world, and thinking about particularly this season of it just seems like hopelessness for so many people, and it just seems so maybe dark, and just the light that came into the darkness. I had a priest once in 9th grade say that, maybe 8th grade, say that Luke was the gospel of the underdog. And so as we read, we just see him bringing light into all of these underdog situations. And there's something that's been really hopeful about reading that in this season, in the season of Advent, but also in the season of the world.
That's really good. How do y'all read it together? Out loud?
Yeah, and I would prefer to read more than we do, but yeah, we all sit down and we'll read. I like to read a chapter at a time, but everyone, including Amber, is like, let's get one story and talk about that one story. So it's probably going to take us 17 years to really get all the way through Luke at this clip.
Yeah,
but
that's how it
but it's working for us right now. Yeah,
that's cool. I like that.
It's been very good. So yeah, I highly recommend, if you don't know where to start your Advent reading, just start in the book of Luke and go forward. I would always typically default to John, but for whatever reason, Luke is working this Advent.
Luke is a very Advent-y one because of the first 2 chapters. So I get it.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. So what about you? What are you reading this Advent season?
All right. I've got a book and a series of books. So the first one I have is a little collection called the Penguin Book of Christmas Stories. And it's a nice little small hardback, beautifully bound volume of just classic stories. I think the first one's Hans Christian Andersen, and it's got Dostoevsky and Dorothy Sayers and all these great writers. And it's kind of their lesser known works. I mean, I think Hans Christian Andersen has The Fir Tree, but everything else is this is new to me. So I've just had it on my nightstand and just will read a story at a time. And we're talking short stories. They're 3 to 4 pages long. So I recommend that. The downside is I feel like where I'm looking right now, it's on back order. So maybe they'll get more in stock, but apparently I'm not the only one who had this idea. The other suggestion I have is not seasonal, but it kind of is, because this is the time of year where I'm always into cozy murder mysteries. I don't know what says cozy murder more than Advent and Christmas. So there is a series by a writer named Anthony Horowitz, who he's written a lot of commercial fiction, like Alex Rider for middle grade. But he's written this series that is just really great, where it's he's a character in the book, and he is a writer following a real former police detective to write true crime mystery novels. So he's in it, and this detective's in it, but because of their dynamic, it's he's Watson and this detective is Sherlock Holmes. And the cool thing is the real life Anthony Horowitz also writes for the Sherlock Holmes estate. So it's all very meta, and it's really interesting. And I'm making it sound highbrow, and it's not at all. It's very funny. It's very lighthearted. It's just really just easy to read, fun to listen to. I was doing the audiobook. So the first one is called The Word is Murder, and the second one is The Sentence is Death, and the third one is A Line to Kill.
Good grief.
I know. But he's doing that tongue in cheek. He's making fun of his own genre. It's taking lightly the genre of murder mystery. Yet they're actually good stories. And he's a great writer. Actually, it's not just like B grade writing. It's good writing. So I think they're really fun this time of year. And I'm grateful to my library who recommended it. I've had this, I guess normally I don't count the books I read. To me, it starts making my favorite hobby start feeling like a chore. But this year I decided I'm just going to do that. And I was at like 45 or so in mid-November. And I was like, okay, my goal was 52 this year, like one book a week on average. And so I just needed something kind of easy, which sounds cheating, but it's not really cheating. So I went with that. Now I'm already past 50, so it worked. So
that's awesome.
Nice, easy reads. That's
Great
what
work.
we need on the holidays.
Also, he's evidently, the internet tells me that he's evidently English.
Yeah.
So
it's British.
This feels right up your wheelhouse.
It's super British. If you go to PBS Masterpiece, there's some shows based on his stories because, of course, there are. But they're really good. So that's me.
Okay.
All right. So
that's awesome.
The final category we talked about was a habit. And I don't know if did I spring that on you or because I've got one, but do you have stuff?
You might have sprung that on me, but why don't you go first and you share your habit and then I'll think of my habit. That'll be awesome.
Sorry. Okay. All right. So I guess my final thought was like, what about just things that don't involve consumption? Like just things that we are doing. And I came up with two. The first one is lighting the Advent candle, but during dinner. And I say this because we are a household of 2 teens and a tween who's almost a teen who have like lives of their own. Meaning like, oh, you're working tonight or, oh, you've got some big test tomorrow. So you're studying. So we don't have the same dynamic that we used to even just a few years ago when we would like all be around the living room, lighting the candle because we're all home, So recently I just decided we're going to light the dadgum Advent candle no matter who's home. And we're going to do it over dinner because we're just sitting here to eat anyway. And we're not going to try and make Advent candle lighting and devotional reading an extra thing. We're just going to do it while we're doing something else anyway. So maybe that's an encouragement to someone because I literally wrote a book on this and I find it challenging to like make time for it. That you do what you can. And with teens in the house, it's hard. And so I would say roughly half the time someone's not home and that's okay. So that's my habit. How about you?
Well, I think that means that we've already talked about my habit because it was very similar with the Luke book. But what I will say is we have a yearly habit at this time of year.
Oh, that's good.
And it is a Christmas Eve habit. So we haven't gotten to it yet, but it's a habit that I highly recommend. I was actually working out yesterday, which is also a habit.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm very committed to my workout. And after the workout, I was sitting in the sauna with a few people. And one of the people in said sauna was talking about just their Advent services at their church. And asked if we were going to do anything special for Christmas Eve. And I said, yes, we always go to midnight mass and then walk them through like, what does that look like? Because they were saying, hey, what does that look like? And at the end she said, like, can anyone come to that? Or is that like, I'm obviously not Catholic, I'm evangelical. And I said, not only can they're highly welcome, please come.
Right.
So our habit is every New Year's Eve, whoever will and can make it. We normally have 2 stragglers that don't quite make it. And I will not divulge who that is. But 4 of us will make our way to midnight mass. This year, I think everyone's going. And just the habit of saying, hey, before we start the Christmas day, we're going to start this in the right frame of mind with the right purpose and with surrounded by choral music and candles and incense and the beauty of ringing in the birth of Jesus. And that's our typical annual habit. I look forward to it every year. I can't wait
I love it.
for it to happen this year. And I'm actively inviting people to come on the journey with us this year who may or may not be Catholic.
That's cool. Now, is the midnight mass for Christmas Eve as long as the one for Easter, the Easter Vigil?
No.
Okay.
Okay. No. Now, I guess it depends. I mean, and I guess I guess I should say it depends, and technically no. But like and I think most midnight masses, the music, the caroling starts a little bit early, and so you kind of go and you sing some and blah blah blah. So it ends up being quite long, but the service itself is a touch longer than a typical service.
Got it. Okay. I ask because I have a child who shall not be named that gets nervous anytime we mention going to church at night because he thinks about the Easter Vigil service, which feels like you moved into the parish, you know.
Yes, into the rectory, and you're there for good, forever, never leaving, forever and ever, world without end. Amen.
Right, exactly. That sounds lovely. We've been talking about wanting to do more evening services for Mass, so we might just very well do that this year. Do the midnight one. I think that sounds great.
It is great, and it does a couple things. One, I don't know, it slows down Christmas morning a lot. Because if you're out until 1, nobody's getting, or 2 by the time you get home, nobody's getting up at 6, to ring the bells and open the presents.
Sure.
So it just slows everything down, and I just think we really like that. We enjoy that it kind of makes us, it intentionally paces us. So that's why it's become part of our habit.
Yeah, that's a great one. I love that. All right. Well, because we normally end the show with things that are adding more beauty, we just did a whole episode of that. So I think this is about where we wrap things up here. We will say we have one more episode coming for the end of the year, and I think we're going to do a little something festive but simple for you guys, and I'm excited about that. But anything else you want to add, Seth? I can't think of anything.
The only thing I can add is, again, if anybody wants to go to Buy Me a Coffee, which you will share the link with that in the show notes,
right,
and drop your thought for the show, my favorite show that includes the phrase in the poem in the Bleak Midwinter as sort of an anchor. I'll send you that gift card. I'm not kidding.
All right. I like that. It's kind of ironic that you would send a gift card on a website called Buy Me a Coffee.
But isn't this the season for giving?
Yeah, it is. I like it. And speaking of, actually, since we're just like dropping links here, I created a gift guide that I really like doing every year. And this year's focus is on gifts and games and events. And just a reminder that there's a little event next summer called Going to Ireland. So if anyone is interested in going, there's a link in the show notes for going to Ireland. It's a good Christmas gift, albeit a huge one. I realize that. But hey, if you want to go to Ireland, please do. That'd be fun. All right. It's time to wrap this one up. You can find this episode as well as all episodes at adrinkwithafriend.com. And you can also find there how you can help support this show by picking up the next round of drinks, just like what Seth said. The show is free for you to listen to, but it's not free for us to make. So at the cost of just a cup of coffee or a pint, you can help keep it going. That is at adrinkwithafriend.com, which is also in the show notes of this episode. You can find me and how to connect with me, especially via my newsletter at tishoxenrider.com. Seth, how about you?
They can find me at sethhaines.substack.com.
Right. Music for the show is by Kevin MacLeod. Editing is by Kyle Oxenrider. I'm Tish Oxenrider with Seth Haines, and we'll be back here again with you soon. Thanks for listening.